Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're unmasking a company called Tencent. Now, you know their friendly little penguin mascot? Yeah, it makes them look like this cute, harmless tech company. But as we're going to see, a way more accurate mascot would be a giant octopus. We're talking about a massive conglomerate with invisible tentacles reaching into literally almost every global industry. They operate quietly, totally in the shadows, while actually being worth more than Facebook, MasterCard, or Samsung. Crazy, right?
So, to really wrap our heads around the sheer scale of this invisible octopus, let's start with a quick question. What do Fortnite, Reddit, and Tesla all have in common? I mean, they're massively popular Western brands, right? And they operate in completely different sectors. But behind the scenes, they actually share one absolutely crucial thread.
Okay, let's just dive right into it. That common thread? It's Tencent. They quietly back every single one of those major companies today. But what's really wild is how this whole empire got started. You might think they had some groundbreaking original ideas, right? Well, not exactly. They actually built their empire in China by ruthlessly cloning Western apps. Picture this. It's 1998, they're working out of this tiny, crammed office that, bizarrely enough, had a disco ball hanging from the ceiling. A group of friends basically just ripped off the American chat app ICQ, and their highly creative name for this cloned version, OICQ. Yeah, they literally just slapped the letter O on the front and called it a day.
From there, Tencent's evolution was just unbelievably fast, but honestly, it almost didn't happen. In the very early days, they were bleeding cash just trying to pay for server space. Plus, they were almost sued into oblivion by AOL over that ripped-off OICQ name, but they were saved from near bankruptcy by a $2.2 million venture capital lifeline. And that cash, it let them rebrand to QQ, introduce a way to make money through virtual avatars in 2003, and eventually, they even managed to beat out Microsoft's massive MSN Messenger in the Chinese market. But the real game changer, the true masterstroke, happened in 2011. That's when they pivoted to mobile and launched WeChat, which they followed up with mini-programs in 2017.
You see, Tencent's pretty elusive founder, Pony Ma, famously summed up their whole mindset like this: I don't blindly innovate. The smartest approach is to learn from the best examples and then try to surpass them. So he openly admits that their strategy is just copying competitors' features. A classic example? There was this app called TalkBox that came up with a brilliant push-to-talk voice note feature. Tencent immediately tried to buy them. But while negotiations were still happening, Tencent just turned around, replicated the exact same feature inside their own app, and completely crushed TalkBox by leveraging the massive user base they already had.
And this brings us to their internal corporate culture, which is often described as a shark womb. It sounds intense, because it is. Basically, just like unborn sharks cannibalizing their siblings in the womb so only the strongest survives, Pony Ma forces his own internal teams to fiercely compete against one another. When the whole shift to mobile internet happened, he didn't just ask one team to build a mobile app. No, he tasked 3 separate teams to build a WhatsApp clone, forcing them to compete against each other and against their own existing desktop app. The ultimate survivor of this brutal shark womb was WeChat. They made absolutely sure to disrupt themselves before any outside competitor ever had the chance.
So that brings us to part 1 of our explainer, the everything app, WeChat's absolute dominance. Just imagine an evening out in China for a second. You book your DiDi taxi through WeChat. You get to the restaurant and view the menu through a WeChat mini program. You pay for the meal instantly via WeChat Pay, and then you book your movie tickets for the rest of the night. All of this without ever leaving the WeChat app, because there are tens of thousands of other apps accessible directly inside WeChat, meaning you don't even need an app store. Business executives say it's literally become like water or electricity. It is practically impossible to exist in modern China without it.
To put that dominance into perspective, think about this. Out of China's 1.4 billion people, the average user spends 4 hours every single day inside WeChat. 4 hours! Because it bundles social media, banking, shopping, dating, and just everyday utilities all into one place. WeChat Pay processes over 1 billion transactions a day. That is more than Visa and MasterCard combined. But as you might guess, having one single app control every aspect of daily life brings us to a pretty complex reality.
Which leads into part 2, the Faustian bargain, convenience and the CCP.
So, according to the source material for this explainer, Amnesty International did a deep dive into how messaging apps handle human rights and data. Their conclusion? They stated Tencent was the worst offender by far, the only company to literally score 0 out of 100. By operating in China, Tencent is legally required to comply with the Chinese Communist Party or the CCP.
Our sources point out that the line between where Tencent ends and the Chinese government begins is heavily blurred, which effectively makes this super app one of the most powerful surveillance tools ever created. The day-to-day reality of this surveillance is pretty staggering. Private messages and images are actively scanned, and they're censored right away if they contain unapproved political speech. The government has even openly confirmed it can access deleted WeChat conversations without needing any user permission. And because the app is basically your wallet and your map, your real-time location and payment histories are constantly tracked. All this immense data feeds directly into China's social credit scoring system. For instance, during COVID lockdowns, WeChat was used to assign health codes that determined if citizens were even allowed to leave their homes. And low social credit scores? They've actually resulted in things like blacklisting journalists from being able to buy train tickets.
And that sets the stage for Part 3, The Empire Strikes Back, the tech crackdown.
Now, despite Tencent's total compliance with all the state's surveillance and censorship needs, the story takes a massive plot twist. Out of nowhere, the Chinese government launched an incredibly aggressive tech crackdown to deliberately rein in the power of its own tech giants. $500 billion. Let that sink in. That is the staggering amount of value that was completely wiped off Tencent's market cap during this crackdown. Essentially, the CCP decided that big tech conglomerates had just grown way too powerful, too monopolistic, and it was time to remind these tech billionaires exactly who is really in charge of the country.
The interventions forced on Tencent were severe, and they introduced massive domestic business risks. Regulators just completely halted all approvals for new video games, which overnight cut off Tencent's primary revenue stream. Then, the government mandated that kids under 18 can only play video games for 3 hours a week in total. And to make sure people actually followed this, they forced Tencent to integrate facial recognition technology connected directly to police databases to actively enforce it. Oh, and on top of all that, they hit them with massive anti-monopoly fines.
To really understand the extreme operational measures Tencent has to take just to appease regulators, look at this. Tencent owned the rights to the hugely popular violent video game PUBG. You know, the one where 100 players fight to the death? Well, to comply with the shifting values of the state, Tencent had to completely overhaul the game. They rebranded it as Game for Peace, transforming it into this patriotic propaganda machine. The blood changed to green liquid, and when a character gets shot and eliminated, instead of dying, they literally just get up, politely wave goodbye to the player who shot them, and disappear. I mean, you can't make this stuff up.
This brings us to Part 4, Global Tentacles, the Invisible Influence.
Facing all these intense, unpredictable domestic risks, Tencent realized that they had to secure their future. So they pivoted into a massive, quiet global shopping spree. Since their own apps are widely viewed as security risks outside of China, Tencent doesn't expand internationally by launching WeChat. Instead, they just buy minority or majority stakes in the companies we all already use. They own 100% of Riot Games, the creators of League of Legends. They own 40% of Epic Games, the makers of Fortnite. They hold major stakes in Reddit, Discord, Tesla, and Spotify. Thanks to this invisible shopping spree, Tencent's gaming division alone actually generates significantly higher revenue than Nintendo or EA.
However, this expanding global footprint brings up some really complex geopolitical realities. As outlined in our sources, Tencent's financial leverage has directly intersected with Western free speech. For example, when a gamer on a Blizzard platform, a company Tencent heavily invests in, endorsed the pro-democracy movement in Hong Kong, that gamer was swiftly banned. Or take the NBA. When the manager of the Houston Rockets tweeted support for Hong Kong, Tencent instantly stopped streaming all Rockets matches in China. The result? The manager deleted the tweet, backtracked, and players were basically forced into public apologies just to appease the Chinese market.
Okay, we've covered a massive journey today in this explainer. We went from a tiny cloned chat app to a $500 billion empire that essentially controls daily life in China and silently owns massive chunks of the global internet. The story of Tencent really is a masterclass in aggressive business execution, deeply entangled with complex state surveillance. So, as we wrap up, I want to leave you with a provocative question to think about the next time you open your favorite apps. Is the invisible octopus already living in your phone? Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and definitely keep your eyes open for those tentacles.